Hello and welcome to day 4 of our January Challenge 2026. We're looking at Karen Marshall Say's piece, The Grey Heron Stands. A new feel to today's section, okay? So we're starting with the G at the end of bar 16 and it's going to lead us in to this big sort of declaratory part. But then we have some mezzo pianos, mezzo forte. We're going to be all sorts of volumes here. Okay, all sorts of dynamics. So I'll play it for you first and then we'll have a look through. Okay, so we have this big sort of statement. We've got a G and I'm getting my thumb ready on C, and then I'm putting the G back on and an E, so either side of the black, and doing a tadium, doing a rolled chord. Tadium. Okay, with that the left hand is doing what I fondly refer to as one of those, an octave, so C to C, and letting my second finger, if I show you through the strings, just open out, and it almost always will go onto the fifth, onto the G. Okay, so we have, and then we start here. Okay, 4 2 1 2, so we come back to that. Okay, ideally that last one, so the top note of the roll and the first note of the left hand land together. So we anticipate when we have a roll, we do it slightly ahead of the beat, so that the next beat, where if someone was tapping their foot along, it's the top note, which is the melody note, which has landed firmly on the beat. Okay, so just try that again after a count. Da, da, okay, after 2 3 2 1 and 2 and. Good job. Okay, the right hand then goes back on the top 2 of those notes it just played, so the C and the G again, and we're going to be moving up to either side of the red, but just landing before our right hand does it, our left hand is also going to play either side of the red, and it goes left right. Okay, so timing wise it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Okay, and notice how both of these ones, either side of the red, have a little accent above them, the little V on its side, a little accent. So they want to be brought out. So let's try that together. So the left hand was on C, G, C, and then it's going to move either side of the red. The right hand is going to be playing all notes belonging to a C chord. There's E's and G's and C's, and then moving to either side of that red. Okay, here is our counting. 1 and 2 and G and. Okay, we'll do that one more time. This time really make sure that it is good and strong, good and loud. Okay, we have this forte dynamic written in, the loudest we've been so far in the piece. Now dynamics are all relative, and I realise that you may have just joined me and just be playing straight on this. You may not have played the other bit this morning, but this needs to be louder than anything you've played so far. Okay, and this G is leading to this chord, so while the G is still technically not loud, it's leading us to that chord. So if it were maybe a stringed instrument, a bowed instrument or a blown instrument, you'd almost swell through that G, but if you were singing it, but you wouldn't go bum ba. So think of it as swelling through this G, even though you've already plucked it. So it's about the intention, the intent that you put behind it. Okay, so here's our count. I'll count you in. 1 and 2 and loud. Okay, so the loud and then those last two to really sort of pierce through, okay? Boom, ba, really pierce through. Okay, it carries on from that. We're then going to go C, B, and really melody-wise, what we've done is G, C, C, D, C, B. Okay, that's the melody, D, C, B. In terms of placing, we won't be able to do that. We've got the B and the D. So you want to just be thoughtful. I would actually do 2, 3 onto that CB rather than a 1, 2, because that can change where you're emphasizing, whereas a 2, 3 just rolls as a nice follow on from that chord that had the D at the top. Okay, so just try that right hand from the beginning of that bar. So we've got the D chord with a force, and then putting the 2 and the 3 on the C and the B, and then playing that, and it rolling down to that B. If we try that in time together, just that bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. Nice. Okay, one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. Nice. Okay, put those 2 bars fully together with the lead in from the G. Are we ready? 1 and 2 and. Nice. Okay. Don't die away so much. I think I went away a bit too much there. Then we have C, B, G, A, F, and all of that is going down. We were forte all the way down to mezzo piano. So via mezzo forte down to mezzo piano. Da, 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 da. Yeah, so we've had this intense emotive, bra, da, da, and then da, da, dee, da, da. Almost like you're letting out a sigh. Okay, underneath that, da, da, dum, we have, so that was a downward motion, we have the exact same notes, a C, a B and a G, but heading upwards, so a contrary motion. Okay, so we would play, okay, so it's just exactly the same strings, and in terms of placing, it's really nice to be mindful of that and allow your hands to place and open up together on those same strings, but we're coming at it from different directions. So our melody is falling and our bass accompaniment is rising. Okay, when we've done that in the left, we're going to go down another octave and a fifth, another one of those, and this one is an F bass. So opening up to the F octave, finger 2 just falls out nicely onto the red. Okay, and see how my hand does that. There's no lifting up to look for it. Just open up and then just let my finger 2 fall on, and then allow everything else to just drop. Okay, and that goes boom, ching. Okay, so if we can go from that third bar of today, where we have the C, B, G, A, F, and the volume dying away as every note there. Not, when I say dying away, it's not quite the right term, because dying away suggests it's going to go to nothing, and we don't want to do that. But just taking that volume, taking that dynamic down a touch. Okay, left hand, same strings as my right, so I can just open to those, and just by virtue of the fact that it's the same spacing and the same fingering, almost don't even have to look. I can just pop that on. I'm going to go in opposite directions to each other. Okay, and then we're going to end the little phrase on an F, and this is bringing our F bass in. Here is our count. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Good, and being mindful there that we don't suddenly blare out that bass F, which is also a wire strung for most of us at that point, a wire string for most of us at that point, whereas the previous notes probably up on gut strings or nylon strings, and then suddenly we're down, so it could blare if you're not careful. Don't let that blare out. Okay, try that one more time. Okay, so give your shoulders a wriggle, maybe shake your arms out, come on up and into place. And I mentioned in the play along video not so long ago about when we move our hands that we travel with it. We don't just reach. So we take our whole hand down when we're heading for that F. Okay, here we go. Here's our count. This is the third bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Nice. I think I could probably have started that a bit louder and let that die away a bit more. I'm going to try one more time. Same bit. You join me? 1 and 2 and 3 and. Take it down. Yeah, nice. Good job. Okay, let's just put those 4 bars together then. So we have this lovely strong ba-dum. And imagining that G, even though it's fairly quiet as we start, it's sort of swelling. If we were singing, it would swell. So it can have a little bit more to it than what we played before. Left hand is on the C, G, C. Going to either side of the red, which leads our top hand to either side of the red. Then the bit we've just done where we have thumbs on red in both hands, same notes but contrary motion, opposite direction. And then down to the F and letting our whole hand travel. So starting with our C shape overall. Here's our count. We're coming in on a third beat. 1 and 2 and. It's really impactful when we put those dynamics in. It's really lovely. Okay, next part. Right hand is going to go G, A. I actually think that would be nicer. I just did that with a 2-1, but it can be a little bit harsh. I think I might try 3-2. That lets me do a really beautiful feel on my A there. Okay, so I'm going to write that in. 3, 2, and then I'd put a little comma after the 2 because I'm not trying to place beyond that in that moment. It's a nice long-ish note. Okay, then I've got G, F, E, D. So that's a nice run of 4, isn't it? So I can get all 4 on. Excuse me. Okay, then I'm coming back up. So there's a little decision to make. I'm coming back up and I'm going to be going down again. And there is a decision to make. I'm going to have a swig of my drink, sorry. There we are. About whether you try and place all those fingers back on. But what it will do is, this cough is awful. Excuse me. What it will do is potentially deaden the sound that we've got. So there's thoughts to be done here. So we can either, and then straight back on, or we can go da dee da dum, da 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 da, and then actually that's a 5-note run because we've got to get to the red. So personally, I like the idea of going 1, 2, 3, 4, coming off, even though I'm about to put 3, 2, 1 back on. They're easier to open out from the thumb than to pull back on from my 4th. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Same notes going back on, 3, 2, and 1. And at this point, I'm much more comfortable coming down from my thumb, so I will get them on. So you could do a little bit of a walk over there. It's not something I do very often there, where you play 1, 2, 3, and then before you play the 4, you can take your second finger to it without impacting on that 4th finger's ability to play, because it still can just fall into the hand, and then I can take my hand over that too. Again, really helpful to do that travelling with that. So initially, to be nicely over the notes anyway, how vertical your thumb is, it doesn't have to be exactly vertical at all, but how vertical your thumb is will be a really good clue as to whether your hand is over the notes that the fingers are going to play or whether you're leaning in from back here. See that difference? So da-dee-dum, and because these are now crotchets, quarter notes, there's time to move and then take my hand onto that C. Okay, so that little run of a phrase, I'm going to lead into bar 21. So we've got the G, A, just the bit we've just been doing now in this right hand, and then these runs of 4 or 5 notes and how we're going to put those together. So we'll go 3, 2, come off, 1, 2, 3, 4, come off, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, placing over 2, finger 2. Okay, here's our count, starting on the G, just this right hand, 1 and 2 and 2, coming off, but straight on, back on, crossing over gently to that finger 2 on the middle C. Like I say, that's not a move I do very often, but I like that. I think that works the best there. The other options when we have a run of 5 is that you can go, okay, I'll divide it into a 2 and a 3 or a 3 and a 2. What that does is it puts an additional thumb in somewhere. And very often we lean into our thumb notes. You know, we're so used to, especially, we're so used to making sure our thumb rings out because it's often the top note of a chord in our right hand, and that's the melody note. So yeah, our thumb and it being separate from our fingers in its positioning, it's much more common to blare it out. There's my favourite word of the week. Okay, so I like that because I'm not going or I'm exaggerating for you to hear it, but I like that. That's really just maintains that run down to the C. Left hand happening underneath these 4 bars. So we had just finished with this F chord in bar 20. So in our next bar, thumb is on the C and the finger 2 just opens up to the A. Notice how you can barely see that on the camera because I'm not going like this. Okay, it's the top 2 notes for triad, so it's a very comfortable size space. Just got 1 string loose in between. Stepping down 1 with my thumb and opening up an octave, and I'm going to play 4-1. Going down a little bit further to the G, but again the octave, so same size gap I just played, doing 4-1. Now we've got a D going to a bass C going to a C. So do we go D, C, C? I'm not sure. I like that. We could do a 2 on that D and get my thumb ready on the C. So crossing over my thumb to the C, then I just open out my octave. Okay, it's one of these places where we're breaking the placing rule slightly, in as much as we so often like to train it so that whatever's touched the string next is likely to be the one that plays first. So I'm putting that in there, but actually we need to hear the bass first. So I will need to be mindful of that if I do that. Okay, but I think that works for me. So I'm going to try writing that on. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put a 2 over that D. I'm going to write a 1 over the minim C, the half note C, and kind of draw like a slur line, like a curvy line from the 2 to the 1 there. And then I might put a square bracket around the C to the C. I'm going to briefly see if I can show you that. Let's have a look. I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to get that to focus. No, I'm not. But in that section there, I am doing in the left hand a 2, thumb going to there and opening down. Okay, let us try that left hand from bar 21. So we've got the A and the C, and that lasts for a whole bar, and while that's playing or sounding, we can get ready a note lower as an octave, and we play 4 first. We go 4-1, moving down a few strings to the G octave, same pattern, and then a 2 with my thumb ready, crossed over to the C, so 2 on the D, opening up the octave, playing the bass C. These ones are slower, like that, okay? I've got my new C string, which is going a bit flat on me. Okay, so putting those with the other hand. We've got G, A, then we run down. Okay, if we just do that part, G, A, and then run down. Underneath that with the left, G. So this A and C is landing with the A. And then we're going to, as we run down, we'll get the B octave ready. And it's going to land here. Now that's nice because finger 4 in both hands are going to play. And then our left hand answers it with another note. Okay, so if we do that in time, G, A in the top hand going into bar 21. And left hand on the A and C. Okay, I will count us in just as far as that bit where we stopped. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 down to the B. Okay, good job, you can work on that. Then our right hand is just placing straight back onto the notes it played, but we're just going to do it freely from that D. So then we're going to put the 3, 2, 1 on. While that's doing that, the left hand, now notice the 3, 2, 1 in that right hand is heading to a G, and our left hand is going to be ready on G's to join that. Now here, the top hand is going to put all 4 on, left hand is going to play bass G with that G. It's going to carry on together, so slightly clash sound there. Then crossing over with my special finger 2 in the top, finger 2 in the left, crossing over with a thumb, and then octave in the left. Okay, it took me a minute as I was looking at that to what I was doing. So that's quite nice because we've got a slightly different placing thing happening in both hands there, so it can become the placing place, the point where we have that slightly unusual placing, but it's nice that it's happening in both hands, I think. Okay. Let's do that now in a bit of time. So from the G, A, okay, going into bar 21, here's our count. 1 and 2 and running down and back up, left, okay, so I rushed ahead a little bit onto a note. I just waited and went back in when it really came. So that was my left hand playing a bit early. Do that again, shall we? Whew, take a breath. We're doing a lot of heavy thinking here. Okay, here we go. Is our count? 1 and 2 and 2. Okay, good job. There's quite a bit to think about there, and there's still these dynamics. Now the dynamics there are mezzo forte, taking it down a bit to piano, mezzo piano, up to mezzo forte, down to mezzo piano. So they're quite subtle, and it's basically running with that phrasing of the piece. So as we go da dee da dum, as we head down with our melody, we let it come down a bit. And then as we go back up, we increase and then back down. So it's just really following the shape of the music there, which is quite a natural thing to do. But sometimes we don't think about it till afterwards. It's there in the music, really saying, you know, don't consider the potential dynamic phrasing. Actually do it. So it could have been left to personal interpretation, but it's written in because it really does make a difference, and our composer would like us to bring that out. Okay, an awful lot of food for thought there. Okay, what I will do right this minute is play one more time for you now. Okay, then I would like that you go away and work through it again. Maybe watch the video again, or do the work in your own time, and then go through to the play along, and we'll do our different speeds. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to play going into our new section today, going into where it's marked forte, okay, which is bar 17 with the upbeat of a G. Okay, maybe just listen and hear the dynamics and just follow it along with your eyes on your printout music. Here's our count. 1 and 2 and. Okay, join me then on the play along when you feel like you're starting to pull that together, and we'll work on it then. Thank you very much. Keep it up.